Hi guys. Thanks for finally coming to the last session of the day. And this is the infamous hype versus real deal session, which is, as mentioned, sort of a tradition in all Casual Connects. And also mentioned that it's usually moderated by Joel Brody, but unfortunately he's had some misfortune with some durance. So it's up to me now to take over the mantle. So for those of you who have not attended past Casual Connects or are not familiar with this session, what we're basically going to do is run through the top trends of the casual gaming industry. Just like any games industry, our industry is full of things that are full of hype or things that are not full of hype. So what we're going to do is, as we go through each of the sections, I'm going to ask our panel of experts to either put up a sign which is either hype or real. And after that, we'll have a lively discussion and hopefully a lot of controversy, as we all, this is what we all come here for. So without further ado, let me first introduce to you the panel of experts that we have here, our gaming oracles that will guide us through the topics today. So let me start from closest to me. I'm going to have them introduce themselves before I mangle their names. So go ahead, James.
Yeah, so James GWERTZMAN from PopCap Games, General Manager for Asia Pacific.
Josh Larson, CEO with Mochi Media.
Vishal GONDAL, CEO and founder of India Games and now head of Disney Interactive India.
Noritaka Kobayashi, VP from GREE.
Great, and I'm the moderator. I'm Stanley ADRIANUS, CEO of GameNauts. Hope to deliver for this session too. Okay, so without further ado, we have a lot of topics to go discuss, and let's start with the first one. So, the biggest thing on our minds today is mobile. The future is mobile, so they say. Huge market, everyone knows that it's either the future or the entire future. Billions of dollars at stakes. Big effects on the other industry sectors. Traditional players such as Nintendo is feeling the effects, Sony too. Including sectors like Facebook gaming market is also feeling the effect of it, with a lot of developers moving from social games to mobile games. So the big question now is, mobile truly the future, the only platform that we're ever going to consider developing for, or should we ever consider other platforms? So mobile, the future is mobile. Is it hype or is it real? Great, one hype. So let's start with let's start with the odd one out, Josh.
Right, so it's an incomplete statement to say that mobile is the only future for games. Incomplete statement. I'll posit that it's mobile plus web is the future of games. Mochi Media represent independent game developers publishing on the web, primarily in Flash. Flash is a platform with 1.3 billion users on it. Discovery, marketing is a problem.
Flash is dead.
Excellent.
Flash is far from dead. So incomplete statement is why I say hype, mobile being the only thing in games going forward.
Well, I heard another voice there, Vishal.
Well, the number of people who are going to access internet or web from their mobile phones is going to far exceed the people who are going to do this on their PCs. And with the advent of tablets, I don't know whether the PC itself will remain in the next few years to come. So, I think Flash is dead.
Where's the tipping point to the mobile web experience? Because right now it's an apps-driven world. That's why you've seen Adobe's repositioning and doubling down on games and moving towards it being Flash for the traditional kind of desktop, laptop web, and moving towards supporting Air and moving towards apps. I just don't see what's going to be the tipping point towards there being more of a mobile web experience, which in that case would support HTML5 and some other formats really truly threatening Flash.
Yeah, so I'll say, if you look at Japan, for example, we have mobile social games in Japan, which started out on feature phones, all kind of web-based environments, and now increasingly they are native apps with built-in HTML. So we're using native apps now on iOS. For example, we have a game actually with Green now. We have a native application on iOS where all the in-game content is served through HTML in-app, and we think that's sort of our easing into that. I said it's real deal because if you look at PopCap, almost all of our development now is mobile, up from just like 2 years ago, where more and more we're using mobile as our reference platforms. We're starting with mobile. We still do web, we still do PC, we still do Flash, we still do Facebook. But if you look at where our revenue growth is, where our trends are, more and more is coming from mobile. And in fact, in China now, we're making almost entirely mobile bets.
And then just to give you another stat here, India currently has about 100 million mobile users, out of which most of them are accessing the internet on their mobile phones. This number is going to go to 500 million users. And I would say out of that, maybe 80 million are going to use their PC to access this. So we have roughly 450 million more people accessing the web using their phones.
Can I say that some different angle of that? Actually, the web or native or flash or something is very important, but actually the size of the screen is actually important. In terms of the iPhone, it is good for the developer because the same screen, that's easy to develop. But for now, we have Android phone, and then we have another 5-inch Android phone and a 6-inch Android phone or something. I think in 1 year, we have a different type of a screen. That's why. So once we use take a design and a sophisticated character, something for the iPhone or 4-inch display, but if you see such a character in the 5.5 inches display, I think it's a kind of that's why. So actually, in terms of the which is going on, well, it's actually display size can be crucial issues, and at the feature phone ages, the difference to distribute your games on the mobile. That's why you are focusing on the PC. It is because at the feature phone ages, we have plenty of different sizes of handset phone. That's why nobody can distribute your game to the world. For now, we have a smartphone which has the same size of a display for now. Currently, that's why we could distribute the game to the world simultaneously. Yeah.
Josh, do you have a last rebuke comeback?
Well, I think that was nice support there, actually, of the position that, there's not just mobile in one experience is going to dominate the world, and not to forget either that we also have this fight for the living room, and you have a lot of different, from Samsung to Microsoft Xbox to on down the line of different providers trying to dominate the living room through that internet connection going into your flat panel display. So there's a lot going on beyond just mobile.
Well, keep your thoughts on the whole living room connection thing, because we're going to visit that again in the upcoming sections. So I think let's move to the second topic, which is game company acquisitions. The Disney buying India Games, EA buying PopCap, GREE buying Funzio, and of course Zynga buying everyone else. So is there more coming in the future, or is it just hype?
Wait, so what's the question?
So are there more game company acquisitions, big acquisitions coming?
The real is yes, there are more.
Yes, there is. Okay, then this follow-up question, since everyone is being such good, agreeable panelists, which of the bigger game companies is going to be acquired in Asia, or vice versa? Anyone?
Well, I mean, I can say the acquirers are going to be, I think there's the larger Chinese companies also from the West, EA, Zynga. I mean, we're all spouting stats and enamored with the iOS. There's top 25 is really dominating that platform, and there's a turf war, kind of a fight to dominate that top 25.
So who's going to be spending the most?
Well, I'm going to talk about the question is our acquisitions a good deal or not, right? And so it's interesting because I was part of one of the bigger acquisitions last year when EA bought PopCap for $750 million. It raised some eyebrows, followed by the $1 billion Instagram acquisition. It's not a game, but it is entertainment. and then you look at the $200 million OMG acquisition. I think some deals make a lot of sense. I think the PopCap one is actually a great deal for EA. Then other acquisitions like the OMG acquisition where they pay $200 million for a game that's already on the decline. And so I think buying companies for individual games, bad idea. Buying companies for talent and pipeline and knowledge, good idea. And I think you're going to see plenty of stupid money spent. It could be that with the Facebook stock already coming down now, it could be that was it. We could have just marked the bubble popping. I guess the next few months are going to tell whether we're now starting to see all the recriminations and oh my God, now it's all over. And the next few months will be very, very interesting. But I do think there'll be a lot more acquisitions before the parade is completely over.
So in terms of acquisition developer, so it is very important to get the technology or human resources. But recently, the purpose of the acquisition is getting it's kind of a promotion cost, getting users. And then even though if we agree or any other platform provider spend $100 million or something to getting users, but we are not sure how many users we can get. But once we spend $100 to acquire some developers who has like 100 million active users, in that case, we are sure that we could get such active users. That's why recently such a acquisition is kind of a promotion cost to acquire active users.
So buy a company for the users.
Yeah.
And I think just to add on this, there are two key reasons why any of the companies look to acquire anyone, and any of the people in this room are looking for it. It's as simple as that either you have to be a leader in a category or a niche on a particular game, a particular style, or create some kind of an IP which becomes extremely valuable. That's one, and a lot of companies are looking for that. Or the second one is that you go and dominate a particular part of the geography. So you could be the #1 company in Egypt or Turkey or India or China or wherever else. And I think these are really the two plays. And whether it is Disney, whether it is EA, I think all of these companies are looking for exactly this: dominance in a geography or dominance in a category. And there is absolutely no value in creating the 150th clone of Angry Birds or Bejeweled or Zuma. So that's not where the game is.
Sorry, I'll just add to that. There's a third type of acquisitions happening a lot in the Bay Area, especially with Zynga. A lot of these are not the big headline ones that you have on the slides, but to acquiring for talent. They call it acqui-hire. And there's a lot of that happening because it's such fierce competition for good engineering design talent.
Is anyone on the panel looking at local developers to acquire?
I already mentioned in my presentation why we wouldn't hire that way, just because we believe, at least in China, that buying for talent in China is overpriced and it's hard to find the right culture. Because to us, culture fit is everything. And our problem with acqui-hiring is too often companies buy for hire and hire leaves because the culture didn't fit.
Great. Moving on. So Android, gobbling up iOS. Android is doing fantastic in Asia. 70% of China's phone market. Huge everywhere else too. But hang on a sec. We've got news reports that it's kind of slowing down in the US. So what's going on? Is Android going to overtake iOS in terms of market share, in terms of developer interest? Or is it ultimately going to fail in defeating Apple? So Android, is it hype or real? Ooh. Very nice. Evenly.
So it depends on the market.
Depends on market. How about, since we're here in Asia.
So I said real because I think in US I would say probably hype, but in Asia I would say real. In China especially, we're seeing huge growth and real money on Android, especially the sub-$100 Android devices. So the sub-$100 Android device is the new feature phone. And it's not where the most money is on a per ARPU basis, but it is where the users are. And in aggregate, there's enough low ARPU users on Android devices to make it a very substantial market.
What about issues like fragmentations?
Yeah, sorry, that's why I was going to jump on and why I've got hype. For independent developer, I don't know how you approach it. They just have a difficult time with Android with the fragmentation across so many different devices, and then even different installs of Android and the experience. So for a lot of developers, that has meant picking iOS as your first step into mobile because you are just developing to one set of specs. So I just think that the cost of fragmentation to a smaller budget, smaller team size is hard to surmount.
That's why I call it the new feature phone. Everyone knows feature phone development was impossible because of fragmentation. I would say compared to feature phones, Android is still actually less fragmented than feature phones were, and it's more stable. So you can build an Android, and as long as you can deal with a few different resolution sizes, and you're flexible in how you architect your engine, it can be quite stable. And we've seen some very good Unity games, for example. I think the Android devices are fast enough now, the processors are fast enough that you can do decent virtual machines and decent, especially for casual gaming, you can actually get a decent write once, run multiple device implementation in a way that was promised but never delivered on feature phones because it just wasn't fast enough.
How about you, Noritaka? How do you see iOS versus Android for
Actually,
Green?
it depends on the market opportunity, and then in Korea, actually, it's very rare. Android penetration is much larger than iPhone, and then, but especially in Asia, Samsung or LG or any other vendors will release Android phone which is less than the $100. That's why at least in 2 years, everybody want to have Android phone, such a cheaper one. Then that's why its penetration much bigger than the iPhone. iPhone is still the high-end users. That's why. But in that case, we could have a chance to get a wide range of users through the Android phone. But the more user we can get, but maybe its ARPU from game, such use from user is slightly smaller than iPhone users.
Okay.
Yeah, I think the biggest problem of Android is Google. I mean, I'm not clear whether Android is a vending machine to serve more ads or it is a real marketplace for developers to make money. Till date, billing has not been enabled in many countries. I mean, for India, I can tell you that it's over 2 years and we can't even put a paid app on the Android store. While they are happy for us to put as many free apps and serve ads. So the problem really is that at the end of the day, developers need to make money. And on a pure ad model, it is not giving an ROI. And I think if Google does not seriously fix this, we'll have to go and find other ways to make money. I think that's the real problem.
Is there anyone from Google Asia here? Oh,
Please enable billing, please.
that's too bad. All right. Gotcha. Sorry. So, in case you haven't heard, the latest biggest news in Japan social games is this whole controversy surrounding what they call CompuGacha. Essentially, what it is basically how should I say this, Noritaka? Maybe I should let you introduce it.
Okay. It's
The gacha is a mechanic where if you've ever been to a supermarket in the U.S. and you have those little plastic balls and bubbles and machines, you put in a quarter, you turn a knob, a ball comes out, and there's a toy inside. And that's called the gacha, and it's a surprise what it is. And you go to any retail outlet in Japan, you'll see dozens of these machines lined up with these little gachas in there. Well, these games have adopted the gacha mechanic as a primary moneymaker, where you pay a small amount of money, and you get one of these gachas, and you open it, and lo and behold, you get a prize. Well, what they've done is that's the gacha model, and the gacha model is not illegal. What is illegal, was deemed illegal just last week in Japan, is what they call the complete gacha model, where you have to get every item in an entire set, and if you unlock the entire set, then you get an even bigger prize.
Right.
And so if any of you remember the old McDonald's Monopoly sweepstakes game, where you have to get every card of a certain color to get the prize, same thing. You might be able to easily get 4 out of the 5 items in the set, but the 5th item is very rare. And people will spend enormous amounts of money trying to get every single item in the set to get the whole really rare item unlocked. And they've deemed that basically illegal because people are spending essentially too much money to try and unlock that. And it was seen as a controversy because this has been such a big moneymaker on the whales that now the stock price of DNA and Grieve actually dropped based on this ruling, fearing that this is going to cut off a huge chunk of their revenue.
Right. Thank you, James. So basically, the question is whether or not is it something that we have to worry about as an industry, of government regulating our industry. Is it hype, or is it really something to consider? Once again, Josh.
Flash.
So there's a pattern here.
Flash is still alive. Let's move on.
Can we?
So my interpretation of the question might be a little different here, but I'm looking back at history. It's actually kind of a short-term history, but the Facebook ecosystem had the whole offer Scamville thing that took place, and effectively somewhat similar circumstances in that you have. In that case, within social games on Facebook, as a reminder, for the group, there was the ability to obtain virtual currency through completing these offers from different providers. In some cases, you'd be filling out a registration. In other cases, you'd be unknowingly signing up for something that would be a mobile subscription, then suddenly would be charging some monthly fee to your cell phone bill after filling out what you thought was kind of this free process in order to receive virtual currency. Anyways, so there was a small-scale scandal coming out about how much revenue Zynga and other social games providers on Facebook were receiving through offers. And actually, I think Zynga took a very good stance of an apology and going back through the offers and really thoroughly vetting and screening any offers that were running in their social games. And in that case, I would say the ecosystem and the leaders in that space did a nice job of self-correcting. So in this case, it seemed like the stocks rebounded. There was a removal of this mechanic right away, and that the ecosystem self-regulated before government ever had to get involved.
So it's similar to the situation where Apple put a stop to incentivized ads from networks like, I should say, Tapjoy's.
Yeah. You have the leaders in the ecosystem
Will step in.
stepping in before government ever has to.
But we're here in Asia, and here in Asia, I think government regulation is a reality, and I think you're going to see more of it. Japan, Korea, China, these are all markets with heavy regulation. Indonesia, I mean, the governments do regulate, and maybe not North America, but here in Asia, I think the answer is we're stuck with regulation.
So I guess one of the interesting questions is why did it happen in Japan first instead of China, where it's also there's a big ecosystem?
I mean, gambling's already illegal in China games. And,
So why would the Japanese government be more concerned about that? Or is that not a fair question?
It's kind
The
of
Prime Minister.
Japanese government try to keep market like a fairness, more fairness, more based on the rules, and then we mobile social market in Japan maybe a little bit grew much rapidly than we thought, and then maybe that's why government considered that we should some suitable rule for that. Any kind of business should be controlled by some right rules. Example, in terms of privacy information problem in internet, easily so anyone can get any kind of privacy information. And for example, on the Facebook, once we share the photo to friends, someone just shared their photo to the only friend, but someone just switch on the it's a good. In that case, their friend can see the photo happily. In that case, the original poster don't expect such things. But so every time if we invent a new services, we need new right rules. That's why. So we create a new service first. Then after that, write such a rule come after that. That's why. So anyway, we do really do the business followed by the rules. Yeah.
So do you think this is happening because of the amount of money involved or because of the ideology involved?
Pardon? Yeah.
I think it's user complaints. I think they're reacting to increasingly negative press around this mechanic. And
So it's a bit of both.
I think the companies did not self-regulate fast enough. My interpretation is they didn't self-regulate fast enough, and they did not get enough. They didn't damage control this issue fast enough. I think if they had gotten out ahead of it sooner, made bigger changes, and addressed my understanding is that the public perception of the mobile social space in Japan is actually somewhat negative these days. That no offense, but I think companies like Green DNA actually have a little bit of a negative perception in popular media that somehow there's something wrong with the model. They're buying so many TV ads, they're buying so much marketing about their games that this is almost a somewhat unsavory whiff about what they're doing versus traditional gaming.
I mean, in a market like India, this thing can become really challenging where a lot of our politicians and regulators don't probably even understand this. I remember a few years back, I got a call from our film censor board where they wanted to actually censor video games. And I was like, this is not like a movie that you can see and cut a scene. So we had to kind of explain that there is no way we can screen a video game for you to censor. Mm-hmm. So, it could be a big problem if the politicians or, some of these regulators want to start playing our games and, challenging all our mechanics.
I think that's part of the key issue here. Yeah. So none of you are that worried?
We are worried.
Except Josh.
We don't want them to be here.
No, I was not worried. They were worried.
Right.
Flash has nothing to
Flash has no censorship. All right, moving on. Staying on GRE. So GRE and Data has spent massive fortunes in coming into the Western and also other Asian markets. So the big question is, has it been real or is it going to be just full of hype? Big question. Ooh. This is what we come to see. So, of course, I'm going to leave it to Noritaka to start.
That's why I came here. That's why I came here.
You have your 5 minutes. Yeah.
I think today I got a lot of support for GRE from here. That's why today is a turning point from hyper to there.
Well, what about the Western market?
Western market, for example, our strength is providing like a card-turn-based role-playing games, and then we tried to the first one called the Zombie, based in the U.S. and the global, and then we tried that whether such genre game will work or not, and then after the last month's performance, we have a confidence to do that. That's why so we could input such a new trend in the game market. That's why so we will build that. We will do that in the West. Yeah.
All right, so let me argue this one. So in Japan, DNA and GRE are really huge players, and they have a lot of things going for them. They have huge user bases. They have deep knowledge of what kind of monetization mechanics work. They have their own first-party studios making their own games. So they're not just open platforms, they're also game developers, basically. And what's interesting about these networks is these are not social networks, these are interest graph networks. So when you have an ID on GRE or DNA, you don't have a real ID with a photograph and your real name. You have a gamer tag and often a fake avatar. And your relationships are not so much your friends from real life, but your virtual friends you've met playing games. You actually don't want your real friends to know you're playing these games. You don't want to be posting on your feed forum saying, so-and-so just bought 10 gachas. You want to keep that private. So in North America, so if you think about what these services provide in Japan, they're providing app discovery, interest graph, and monetization, building, wallet, basically. Well, in North America, you already have social graphs from Facebook. You have app discovery from things like iTunes and from App Store and many other mechanics. Billing is already a solved problem. So when you look at what benefits a Western developer would have from a GRE or DNA in the West, you don't need the app discovery, you don't need the billing, you don't need the social graph network, you can do it yourself. So really, there's not a lot of value as a developer signing up with a third party. Now, I think GRE and DNA have a future as publishers and developers in North America. So I think GRE, you're saying this now, is that GRE may, in North America, be more of an EA competitor as a game publisher or developer versus a Facebook competitor as a network. And so I would say hype for being a sort of Facebook competitor, real being a game developer, because I do think they have a lot of experience monetizing free-to-play games that could be brought over and could be relevant in Western markets.
Well, I'll just add, I guess, to the real end of that argument is these were longer-term plays, these acquisitions, that to build a ultimately to build a publisher, to build a network, and that was not something that was going to be an overnight success in the West.
Right. So when is the time frame for GRE or DNA to dominate?
Me?
Yep. How much time do you give yourself?
In 3 years.
3 years?
One thing, the thing to watch in Japan right now is feature phone to smartphone transition. So we're going through this massive shift. I don't want to steal one of your slides, but I mean, we're watching the transition right now in Japan where they're going from feature phones to smartphones. And Green DNA absolutely dominated the feature phone space right now in Japan. The question is, will the switch to smartphones be disruptive or not? Right now, the top grossing game on iPhone is a game called Puzzle Dragon, which is interesting because it's not tied to either GRE or DNA. It's a completely standalone game with its own walled garden interest graph network. It's using iPhone, it's using App Store for app discovery. It's got its own using App Store for in-app purchase. And there's no network trend. So if you start to see more and more top-grossing games on phones, smartphones, not using GRE DNA, that represents a challenge to their historical dominance. And so it'll be very interesting to watch this shift over the next year as we switch to smartphones. Can they stay on top, or will they get displaced by basically the technology?
We shifted our business from the feature phone to the smartphone already, and our in-house social game was available in all our social games available on the both iPhone and Android as well. So, and then in addition to that, for the last quarter or the last half, 6 months, our like revenue of the smartphone is quite grew rapidly. So, and then we could do the handle business on the smartphone as well. Yeah.
Okay, thank you. Moving to the other behemoth, Zynga in Asia. So the simplest question is, will they be able to translate their success in Asia? Is that hype or is it real? Is that 4 Reds? Come on, Josh. Wow. I'm pretty sure I saw somebody from Zynga here on the conference. Anyone here? So why unanimous vote for hype? Are they just too Western?
Because we are here.
What about China?
Tencent's there.
Tencent and PopCap.
Yeah, I mean, have they announced kind of local partnerships? I mean, without
they have.
They've got,
I mean, Zynga opened an office in China. They bought XMD Media. They've got partners with Tencent. They launched Farmville on Tencent. Didn't go anywhere. I mean, what's Tencent's number one weapon in North America? Giant user base, right? And they really use this user base and cross-promote. I mean, they basically acquired users back when it was cheap, and now they're holding on to those users and transferring those users from game to game to game to maintain their dominance. And they build great games, and they have great analytics, and they've got great tools. They've got a lot of good things. The question is, business models in Asia are so different that knowledge doesn't automatically translate. They don't have the same user base in Asia that they're starting with in North America, and it's very expensive to acquire that user base now. And there's a huge set of embedded, entrenched competitors in these markets, fighting hard to keep them out. And so I just see it's a very strong uphill battle for them.
Right. So it looks like the line has been drawn geographically in terms of market dominance. It's a very easy topic to go over.
Sorry.
All right, bonus question. This is the fun part. So
EA.
I didn't have enough room for a fourth one. But ultimately, who will win big first globally? Just anybody. This is not hype or real.
Tencent.
Disney?
Disney is
Disney?
the biggest. We have all the IPs.
Oh, it sounds like the line has been drawn, that perhaps there won't be any big winners. Perhaps that's a good thing after all. All right, trading card games. It's obviously huge in Japan. There's 2 hypes, 2 reels. I think I saw Vishal very eagerly raising it, so I'll start with you.
Well, nobody plays those games. This game's in India, so at least in India it's not running.
Well, what about internationally? One of the top grossing games in Android is Rage of Bahamut, which is a trading card game from DNA. It goes to show that there is some kind of receptivity.
I think once you switch over into casual, anything goes. I mean, casual. Once you switch into casual games, you have a much wider range of game genres that will appeal. And the trading card game is the ultimate casual game. Most games, the mechanic is like this: click, 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 oh, click, 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 click. Oh, click. I mean, that's the mechanic. And it's a really simple game. You can play with one hand on a subway between subway stops. And I think that appeals to a certain gamer. I mean, I don't get Farmville. I don't get hidden object games. I don't really get even trading card games, but they're very appealing to a certain audience.
Josh, you had a hype for this. Isn't there a big trading card game genre in Flash community?
I mean, there's
Tyrant, I think.
there's some similar mechanics, but in terms of this being a genre that's going to dominate globally, that's starting in Japan. No, I don't
Maybe
see
not
it.
dominate. Will it catch on?
No, I'm not seeing it. I'm seeing a regional, distinction here, and we do see that there are games that perform very well, gravitate, towards a certain user, but don't necessarily span.
Right.
This is the Japan Galapagos thing.
So GREE just released Zombie Zombie, which is a trading card game for the U.S. market, which is
So I think we should change the image of a gamer. Usual gamer. So for example, one gamer bought some games, $50 or something. Okay, today I bought this new title and played this one till midnight or a whole night or something. This is a legacy game. Absolutely, we focus on this type of gamer. But social games is targeting this type of game, but also like a less light users. Our social game is very simple. Like he mentioned that it's just quick. That's why. So if you have a minute, you can play our social games. That's simple. And social games are free to play. That's why most of them are not interested in playing games first. It is because it's free to play. That's why, okay, I download it, I play it. They don't have passion to play it for hours. But just what I need is just play it 1 minute. Then after that, they play 1 minute in the morning when I wake up, and then 1 minute in the lunch, 1 minute in dinner, 1 minute just to go to bed. Then they finally, they cannot help but stop playing the social games. We are getting such users by social games. So these kind of trading card games can have a potential to capture such a user behavior. So I do believe that such genre of social games, there is no such genre in the Asia or maybe in the West yet. That's why. So we could open such a black box market.
right.
Yeah.
Well, I mentioned Zombie Zombie because I think it's pretty interesting that you released GREE's first trading card game is a 100% original title for the Western market. And why not release the previous hit from Japan over to the Western market? Is there something
it's
that
going,
different? That
No, I'm going now. We release soon.
Oh, you will?
Yeah.
So there's no.
We will release every our social title to the global market. Now
And-
we are translating it into English first.
Okay.
And look at Pokemon and Yumigo, and there's a great history of Japanese physical trading card games going to North America. I don't see why virtual wouldn't go either.
Okay.
My kids play Pokemon.
Thank you.
But those had the IP underlying it to help trans.
Right, well,
Yeah,
and
right.
Pokemon, so, what came first? Pokemon, the TV show, Pokemon, the DS game, or Pokemon, the trading
Right.
card game? I'm not
It's
sure.
pretty universal.
Do you see a cartoon based on one
Eventually,
of
some
these?
of them.
Yeah. Okay.
Well, actually, in Japan, there is
Yeah?
a drama created out of a social game. Yeah, a TV serial.
I think the whole market's waiting. I mean, Square Enix launched a really high quality trading card game with a really weird name. What's the name? It's the brand new Square Enix top grossing trading card game on iOS. It's Atari something. It's like Aoki. Anyway, it's a brand new game. It just came out. It's a native app iOS trading card game. Very high production values, minimal gameplay. It's like the new high bar for trading card game mechanics. And that's kind of, I can imagine a company like Square Enix finally getting into this market, putting in massive bucks and making this thing into a global brand in the same way that Pokemon was or Nintendo could do or something.
You mentioned Nintendo. I wish I could have included them in this part of the conversation. But moving on. well, did you put a hype on that? Facebook entering China. Okay, so why so much hate for Facebook in China?
The China government.
They won't let them enter.
I'll put my money on the government in China.
They will have no face left when they go there.
Well, it's a good thing Zuckerberg just got married, because he'll be very depressed.
Yeah, the other thing that's interesting is not just Facebook, but you think about all the publishers' websites that use Facebook Connect and use a lot of different elements of the Facebook experience.
Right.
Distributed. It really does slow down your normal web experience in China. I mean, you go to so many pages and different websites you go to, and elements of the page won't load because it's either, a Facebook Connect thing or it's something trying to pull from Google Ads, and it's really, it's pretty choppy experience.
So, James, I'm kind of curious about PopCap's experience with Facebook games in the Asian market in terms of monetization. How well it's performed?
So one of our big mistakes was we brought two of our Facebook games over into China. We brought Zuma. Well, actually, our biggest one was Zuma Blitz. We took Zuma Blitz from Facebook and we brought it over and we localized it and launched it on Qzone, Tencent's platform, and it did terribly. I mean, the usage was high, but the monetization was terrible. I mean, our monetization was like 1/10 or 1/20th what Tencent said our target should be, and it was just the wrong business model. I mean, again, even on Facebook, we build freemium games to people where you're still paying for content, or you're paying for energy meters, buying energy to basically keep playing the game, and that just won't work in China. Anytime you had a paywall, people pay for a lot of things, but they won't pay to play. They won't pay for fun, they won't pay for play. So if you're limiting your gameplay with some sort of artificial barrier based on energy mechanics, won't work. And that rules out an entire swath of Facebook games from China. What people will pay for is I call the 7 deadly sins of virtual gaming. They'll pay for revenge, sloth, gluttony, lust. I mean, there's a lot of things they'll pay for, but it's not fun. And yet, in those same mechanics, don't work in North America, right? You put a lot of Chinese gamers have tried putting these Tencent games or Renmin games on Facebook, and they haven't worked either. So I think there's just such a fundamental gap in what people will pay for that you have to really build custom games from scratch for each of these different markets, in my opinion.
Good. Game piracy in Asia. So, game piracy has always been a big issue in Asia. Have we finally defeated it? Or is it still defeated it, I guess, is a pretty broad term, but
Real is what?
Real is still a big issue in Asia.
Yeah. Defeat piracy by embracing it.
Well, what about...
like piracy type, yeah.
We have a new word, virality.
Virality, exactly. Piracy equals virality.
So you use the pirates to spread a good word about your game.
I'll tell you guys a true story. So Plants vs. Zombies. We had the 1995 version in North America. We had a Game of the Year edition coming out a year ago. We said, okay, we knew that the day that this game hit PopCap.com in North America, within hours, a cracked version would appear in China. So we said we had 1 week between when the game went Gold Master in Seattle to when the game would launch in China. Or sorry, when the game would launch in North America, hence China. So our team scrambled. They created a localized Chinese version of the game. We built in some in-game advertising that we control through house ads. We went to the top 100 pirate sites in China and said, look, I got, this game's coming out in a week. If you take our version and put it live, you can do it for free and we won't hassle you, we won't sue you. If you crack the version, put the cracked version live, we'll hassle you basically. So take our game. And they all said, sure, we'd love to work with you. All they want is traffic. They don't care where the game comes from. So all 100 game sites took our pirated version with our in-game ads and put it live on the site day one. And users were thrilled because for the first time, here's this new game just come out in North America, and here within hours in China is the same game in Chinese. And who cared about the ad? It was a simple thing. And for us, it was great because now we could actually track every single time someone ran the game. We can now get the pings to our server. We can track the usage. We had something like 20 million unique players within 6 weeks or something, all of which we could track, target ads to. We weren't going to get the revenue from the game anyway, so why not give it away? And they actually turned it into basically a virality customer acquisition tool for us. And we could then use those ads to promote our games on Renren, we could promote our mobile games. And that's now our new strategy, which is, it's why not leverage pirates?
Well, Josh, isn't Flash the salvation here because all the eyeballs are valuable eyeballs?
Yeah, you embrace it. You monetize all the eyeballs through ads, and you monetize the fans through microtransactions. And that's what was effectively working for Shanda Games, Tencent, the others while going there. You don't try and fight it. You don't want to be the music labels and Tower Records facing Napster. Accept it, embrace it, and adopt the right business model.
So thank you, Pirates.
I mean, I think the number one issue in India is not piracy, but mobile operators. And I think
The real pirates.
they are the bigger problem for our businesses, and I think that needs to get fixed. We love pirates.
Excellent. So cross-platform games. It's a ton of effort to make a cross-platform game. Is it really worth the extra effort? Is cross-platform games, are they full of hype or are they really real? Is that one last hype? Okay. So I'm going to start with James, since PopCap has plenty of cross-platform games with Bejeweled and other games.
We love cross-platform. We want to make Bejeweled wherever you want to play it. And if you want to play it on your phone and play it on your iPad and play it on your PC, we'll support you. It won't be the same game. We're not going to try to port the exact same game because every game mechanic is different. Where you play the game depends on how you want to play. If you're playing it on a phone, you're going to have a very different play session format than if you're playing it on your PC or if you're playing it on a tablet. So we're not going to be the same game, but we're going to tie them together somehow, whether it's shared scores, shared leaderboards. We're going to find some mechanic to encourage you to play the game on multiple devices.
So Noritaka, why don't you think it's worth it to do cross-platform?
Because we are focusing on only mobile, not PC. The critical issue is on mobile game is user interface. So touch screen on the smartphone is quite different from the keyboard interface and then or mouse interface.
Well, don't you think it's worth it to have a Facebook version of Dollyland and your other games?
So if we deliver the Dollyland game on PC, we should redesign completely for the PC interfaces. It's not the same one for the touch panel, smartphone or feature phone interface. So we need to create a new kind of new games for the PC to user play our games easily by using a keyboard or a mouse pad or a stylus pen or something. So it's a quite big effort to do that. And then that's why we're focusing on the iPhone and Android so far.
Well, what about Flash? Flash is notoriously an
Flash
issue
Flash is, as I mentioned before, in terms of the size of the screen, it's a critical issue.
Well, also in terms of performance and...
Performance what?
In terms of game performance, porting over from Flash to mobile devices. Josh, if you can...
Well,
also.
yeah, I mean, the mechanic from some of the top Flash games has translated very well to top mobile games. And so, a great strategy for a lot of developers has been, release all of your games on the web. You're able to iterate. It's a low bar to get your games up there. And the hits that emerge from that, those are the ones you invest more deeply in and publish to mobile. And that's been a great strategy. And then you also have the ability to cross-promote from the web to the mobile version back and forth, which has really been necessary given how competitive it is on iOS.
I think the challenge here is the old school and the new school. I mean, the old school, the people who came from the console generation always had this, this is the console version and it cannot be replicated and all of that.
Yeah. Right.
But my 4-year-old son, he plays Where Is My Water or Angry Birds on the iPad, on the iPhone, on Android, on the PC, and these kids expect the game to work everywhere. You can't tell him that sorry because somebody thinks that this game cannot be adapted to the screen, he's not made it. So I mean, today's generation wants the ubiquity and the games to run everywhere, and that's what we'll have to do. Yeah,
and that's on the user side, and it's the same for the developer side. It's a misnomer to say that there's a Flash developer, an iOS developer. No one. This isn't mutually exclusive. We have over 80% of our developers, Flash developers, are publishing for mobile now or plan to in the next year. And so it really is about you want to create a brand. You want to create IP that can live across all these screens, and why shouldn't you?
Right. So okay, we have Flash, we have mobile. But what about consoles?
What is consoles? Sorry?
We do consoles.
New consoles.
We have games on. I mean, we just launched, Zuma on XBLA, and we still make good money there. It's not for the faint-hearted. Costs are much higher. I'll put on my EA hat for a second here. We still think that the world is bifurcating. I mean, there's the giant tentpole Hollywood blockbuster games, which I'm sorry, I'm a hardcore gamer. I still love playing games in high definition with surround sound on a sofa. I realize it's a shrinking market, but those are I'll pay $50 for that experience. And then you're going to have your 99-cent games or your free games on mobile devices, which are portable and easy to play. And I'm happy to play both. I'm happy to have games in both those realms. And we try to cross it. You're going to see some, now they're part of EA, you will see some games from PopCap in high definition on big screens that you'd never see before. And there'll be some eyebrows raised.
I want to stay on this console train for a moment. As casual game developers, is it even worthwhile thinking about the upcoming Wii U or the new next generation consoles developed for, or should they just be concentrating again on the web, flash, or mobile?
Now, if I was advising a startup, I would say stay away from consoles.
Stay away?
If you're a small developer and you have limited resources, stay away. I think these consoles are for the big-pocketed publishers who are willing to make that the third or fourth. I mean, in order of priority, iOS first, Android second, web third, and then maybe consoles fourth or fifth or something, but that would be a low priority.
So eventually consoles will be exclusively or more so hardcore than casual?
I mean, you can do great things you can do beautiful, high-quality, awesome games on a console. It's just, is it worth it? And the other question I've got, I don't know if you have this coming up, but consoles are becoming Android. I mean, so I can tell how many Android TV people coming to us now saying build our game for our Android TV. And once you've got Android and TV, it's a 1020, it's a huge high definition, high resolution game running Android. So suddenly, what's that? Is that a console or is that Android? Is that, I don't know anymore. So I think you're seeing all sorts of really weird devices. And I was talking today to a guy from Lenovo about Windows 8. Windows 8 now, is that a tablet or a PC? I don't know anymore. So you're seeing it's really weird crossing of segments where pretty soon you're going to have Apple running apps on a Windows 8 tablet device, which is actually a PC. And then you're going to see, Android apps running on a television in huge high fidelity, and Apple iOS, whatever Apple TV finally becomes, that'll be iOS running on a high big screen TV device. So what's that?
And what will happen to Flash?
Flash forever. Well, you know what? Actually, I want to jump ahead to this one because this is a great lead-up question to the real Apple TV. Not the fake Apple TV that we have now, but the real Apple TV with full-blown App Store, connected TV. Is this the next frontier of gaming? The line is getting blurry here.
Yeah.
Is it hype or is it real? Should we buy more Apple stock?
It's not mobile.
Is that all real?
Well, all real.
Oh, so the next question, how much is it going to cost?
Free.
Are we going to afford it?
I mean, the device was cheap, right? The device, there's no reason that device should be any more than $99. And if
Well,
Apple charges more, they're making a big
What if it's
mistake.
a whole new TV?
Well, okay, so fair question. I think there'll be a version which you can put of any TV, and then there'll be an actual Apple TV. And I think Apple would be stupid to only support an actual dedicated TV.
You think so?
If I was Apple, and I'm not, I would support a.
Well, Apple loves cohesive
I think that's where
ecosystem.
it's going. That's where it's going. The
universe.
real Apple TV. Yeah, I think it's the real Apple TV is
Yeah.
going to be
The TV,
an actual TV.
I think
not the box.
I think there'll be one of those, and I think Apple will have if you don't want to buy that, buy the module, and because the problem is that Apple's gotten away up till now building basically one device, right? One iPhone, one tablet, one TV simply won't work. I have a home theater. It won't fit in my home theater. Apple's going to have, if they really want to play in the real Apple TV device category, they're going to support 10 different screen sizes. They're going to support, it's a whole new SKU proliferation that I don't think Apple's prepared to
They'll
enter.
have to start making homes.
I mean,
But they've been making Macs and they've been making printers. I mean, they've been making all sorts
Right.
of other SKUs and other
absolutely.
devices.
Do you want to own the whole device? Yeah.
I give her. I just think that to own the TV, the one part of that they don't have to own is a display. The display is a pure commodity. In fact, I think they'd be stupid to try and own the TV, the actual display, because it's such a commodity. Own everything else after the display, which you can do with a tiny little cigarette-sized box and an HDMI cable. So I don't know why they would try. I mean, you could have one that's fully integrated. That'll be nice, and some people buy it because it has an Apple logo on it. But I think that if they don't have a cigarette pack, they're being stupid.
Yeah, I look at the iPad 3 or the new iPad, whatever you want to call it, the most recent one. I mean, great innovation in terms of display. So they've actually been pushing the bounds on display. I think that's actually been a competency of theirs. And yeah, it's all going to fold in, and I bet on them in terms of figuring out the UI and the experience.
Well, right. So the real question is, what's the interface on the Apple TV? It's not touchscreen. If you're in your living room, you're not going to touch your screen. It has to be gesture-based, right? So if I'm,
voice.
Or voice. But if I'm gonna interact with my Apple TV, it has to be the whole Minority Report UI, right? And that's coming, by the way. I mean, those Kinect has led the way, but it won't be very long until the Kinect style interface. I mean, you already have now fingertip resolution Kinect devices or light devices in the lab where it's no longer your entire body, but like individual fingertips can be registered. So it won't be very long until you're sitting there on Apple TV. Oh, cool! I want that over here. Move this over here. That's coming. And then the question is, does it have to be the whole? Again, does it have to be the whole thing, or it can be a little teeny box you put on top of your display? That I don't know. And it'll be running iOS, and it'll be gorgeous, and all the developers will be building Kinect-style interfaces into their games, and that'll be really interesting, because then you've got your tablet propped up with gestural controls on your iPad 4 compared to your living room, and it'll be yet another differentiation.
Anyway, so I don't know what Apple TV looks like, but actually recently I'm boring TV. I think it's time to reinvent the TV again, and then yeah, as I mentioned that Minority Report UI something is coming now. I think it's coming in 1 year or 2 years or something. But anyway, and then for now, looking for the controller for TV, they have, I don't know, 50 or 70 buttons. It's awesome. So anyway, I look forward to some new TV. That's all.
I would like to place an order if there's anybody here for this TV.
Well, I think we all agree we're...
Watch my kid playing Star Wars. I walked in the other day watching my kid playing that Star Wars Kinect game, and he was standing there, like this dude. And for like 10, he was actually playing the game. I mean, it was not one of the early Kinect games where like half the time you're complaining because it doesn't do what you want. He was really totally in a state of flow as fighting using his lightsaber, and it was actually working. It was actually tracking his hand, and he was able to move and fight, and it was actually tracking his shoulder movements, and it was doing some amazing stuff. So I think the gestural controls are really here.
Yeah, we all agree we're definitely going to buy one, right? Yeah. So let me move back a little bit. Location-based games. So I think they're bigger in Asia than in the US, if I'm not wrong. So I guess the first question is whether it's hype or is it real? Hype. Ooh, one real. Okay, Vishal, you gotta speak up.
I think, I think it's a real opportunity. People have not been able to crack it. I think Foursquare started it by gamifying the whole check-in concept, and I think that has got extended to a lot more elements. So I think it's about finding the right product, and it'll be big. I mean, look at Singapore. Everybody is out. People are shopping.
Right.
Unlike
Urban.
US where they are sitting at home watching TV.
Right.
I just think we would have seen some more innovation or some real hits since Foursquare. I mean, Foursquare's been around 4 years, and we haven't seen a game that really captures it yet. So I say hype.
Okay.
I think if you're going to see any, so I said hype because I think most of the LBEs that I think of are kind of crazy or just not interesting. The one thing I might buy into here would be sports-based gaming. If I'm Nike, I would be inventing some games that involve exercise where. I mean, here's the thing. I don't want to have to walk around a city to play a game. Like, if the game involves walking around a city just to play the game, that seems lame. But if I'm already moving for some reason, like I want to go for a jog, and there's a game that I can somehow play while I'm jogging, whether it's metagame or points or something, that's kind of interesting. And like my kids have that little, the Pokemon pedometer. I don't know what it's called, a Pokedometer or something. It's a little thing. If you haven't seen it, it's a little thing. It's the size of this big. And you clip it on your belt, and as you walk around, you're earning energy basically, and then you can use that energy to then transfer points.
That's my Fitbit.
What's that?
That's the Fitbit. That's another one.
Oh, like that. Okay, yeah. So basically, you earn points, and you transfer the points back into your DS, and it earns you. You can unlock hidden objects in your Pokemon DS game by basically walking around. And my kids both have one, and they love it. Every time they're going for a long walk, they're like, oh, do I have to go all the way to there? I'm like, well, where are your Pokemon? Okay. And now suddenly they're willing to go out and go for this long walk because they get to earn points in Pokemon. And that really works. And so I think that kind of physical movement turns into something in the game that's interesting could work.
More novelty ideas. Yeah.
But they do it.
Right. So far, all the products that we've seen haven't really hit that kind of innovation. Yeah. We're running kind of low on time and still have a lot of topics to go through. So let me.
Speed round, yeah. Speed round.
All right. So do you want to do this one? Games as entertainment brands. Noritaka? Is it real or hype? Will they be? Okay, well, I'm kind of surprised there's a lot of reels here. Maybe not from James, since you're going to be selling a lot of zombies dolls. But so Noritaka, why do you see it as hype? I mean, Rovio is taking over the world. Why not PopCap?
So it looks great, but actually we do understand it's very difficult to create a great game by using like a brand.
Other way around, game becomes brand.
Games can.
Angry Birds.
Yeah, Angry Birds becoming huge brands, overtaking even traditional brands.
Okay.
The Angry Birds movie, would you?
Would you see it?
It's high.
Hype, okay.
Yeah,
Still hype?
still high.
Interesting.
Yeah.
But that movie Rio, and it had the Angry Birds Rio tie-in.
Right.
You definitely could make a compelling case that the Angry Birds
Right.
game version helped the success of that game.
Well, a lot
I'm
of
sure
people-
it was
yeah.
a couple $100 million.
A lot of people
box office.
called it the Angry Birds movie.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, because we don't have any movies about Mario in CG yet, so.
Maybe there's going to be a movie about trading card games.
So Disney is the world's largest monetization of toys and everything else. So if you can't monetize your product, you can give it to us.
But we don't have a great game over Mickey Mouse yet.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Half-Life is coming.
Okay, speed run. Should we do this one? Next big market in Asia. This is a bonus closing question. Where is the next biggest market in Asia? It doesn't have to be these three. So just a general answer.
All right, Indonesia.
Good answer.
Among these three?
No. Could be anywhere. Could be anywhere.
Thailand?
How about reasons why?
India we've already captured, so we don't give anybody. So
What?
maybe people can go to Sri Lanka, Bangladesh, Pakistan. India, there's no space.
I'm disappointed by India. I want to see a bigger Indian market.
Yeah, we have already captured.
It's not big enough. Maybe you have good market share, but the small market is not big enough yet.
Revenue shares have changed.
So why hasn't
We have 3x.
why hasn't more developers been speaking about going to India instead of going to China?
It's a small market.
Well, we don't want people to come there, I guess.
So that's on purpose.
It's not good enough. Don't come.
That's on
It's very
purpose?
bad. Hardly you can't make money there. Absolutely bad.
Well, on that note, I think we will
Only
leave
1.2
about
billion people.
2 minutes for any questions for our panels. Anyone? Nope. Okay, well, it's getting late anyway, and we all have to be eating something soon. So thanks so much. This is the last session of the day. See you guys tomorrow. Thank you.